What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a small little news story from Video Games Chronicle that I feel like is actually a bigger deal than maybe one might think. So the post of it says, "We stand ready. Retro specialist Nightdive Studios says it wants to start remastering 360 and PS3 games." Now, the article itself, again, pretty short, pretty kind of straight to the point. They're ready. They're ready to start doing it. They want to start doing it. They were kind of asked some questions of, how they would do it, what they would do with, 360, and, is it only on 360? Is it on 360 and PC? They talk about PS3 and talk about the difficulties of that architecture, right, of that system. That's a very, very difficult system to develop for back in the day. Originally started as backwards compatible with PS2, and then until it wasn't, I guess, right? So they talk about all that stuff in the article. Point being, though, not only do they say that they're ready, but the head of the studio says it's not even like, well, like if we're ever given the chance to do it, it's when we are. Like, so he's talking kind of in the mindset of it's going to happen. They're eventually gonna start redoing games that are in 360 PS3 era because, if you look back at, and what have they done? So System Shock 2 is one that, they're about to do in June. You look at The Thing Remastered, you look at Killing Time Resurrected, Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster. I mean, you can go on and on, right? Quake 2, Quake 1, Doom 64. They've been building up, and I know their games aren't necessarily for everybody, but I also think it's just because of like which games that they're choosing to do, right? Look, the reason I'm even making this video, I talk so much about that preservation of that 360 PS3 era, and you don't have too many studios that specialize in it, right? You have like Aspyr who does the porting, and they do a pretty good job for like what they do, but they can also massively mess up. You look at like the Battlefront collection, like they're capable of really screwing things up. You don't have too many. I mean, back in like the late PS4, Xbox One era, you had some people that were really good. Like you think about Bluepoint. Bluepoint was like the freaking king of remaster remaking studio, and then PlayStation kind of takes advantage of that, tries to have them do their own thing. Obviously, that kind of falls apart, and they still haven't made a game since Demon's Souls remake, right? But you had in the past studios that were capable of doing these remake things, and then everybody kind of falls into their little pocket of the gaming industry, right? Like some people are just good at this, but there's not too many studios. So when I see a studio that is capable, very much capable, and has done several remasters, and yes, are they literally just like the old game, moderately enhanced but playable on newer software? That's what I see. And you know what? That's not a bad thing, because when you are remastering games, see the difference between remastering and remaking, and the reason why I think it's fine if you have studios that actually just specialize in remastering, or you have some of these emulator studios popping up that have done work on getting these games to work in like the back end of PlayStation or Xbox. Give them chances. Like, you don't have too many of them, and we're not asking for the world. Yes, there's probably people that ask for remakes of a certain game versus a remaster, but remasters are easier, remasters are faster, remasters are just like they're more likely to happen. And yes, you're not going to get as much out of them as you would a remake, but just simply get some games from the 360 PS3 era and get them working on current gen, which there's so many games. Now, granted, there are still a lot of games on like the PS2 and Xbox gen that are also just stuck. And once you leave that gen behind, if you ever feel like, we're kind of done, we're going to move to the next one, you're leaving a lot of games. It's actually more games than probably ever even released on the freaking PS3 360 era. You're leaving them for dead. So not ideal, but you're not going to be able to get to all of them, right? I have my personal list of games that I want to see revisited, and just let them do it, okay? I don't care who it is. They don't really work with the PlayStations and Xboxes of the world. Now, they mention Haze, and actually the picture of Video Games Chronicle, their thumbnail of the article is also Haze. If you remember Haze, of course, the legendary, and that's a joke, a little April Fool's prank for you because the game was terrible. Obviously the Halo killer, right? I rented this game. I actually rented it with a very close friend of mine. We've known each other since we were 3 years old. We still talk to this day. Him and I rented it. We played it, and we said, what the flying F? And we did that as like 14, 15, 16-year-olds. We we couldn't believe how bad it was. So, maybe don't pick that one. And because they bring up Haze, they literally bring that up as an example. I don't think that's one that would be on my list personally. It is a game I'd like to revisit for like a fun little retrospective thing, but if you're going to remaster a PS3 era game, please, can you do like Resistance or something? Like pick something. Please do not pick Haze, okay? But that's actually kind of funny. Maybe they were doing that as a prank. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.